Yeah. All right. You know, if you've been paying attention to Pecha Kucha for the last 7 or 8 volumes, maybe even longer, you've noticed that there is always a representative from the Young Architects Forum, right? Young Architects Forum, cheer loudly. So here is the first of 2 Young Architects Forum presenters tonight. And Ken Maschke is also, he's a structural engineer, and so when an architect tells him to do something, he doesn't follow frickin' instructions, right? So when we say 30 words for your bio, we mean 30 words. Otherwise, the audience is going to just start talking in the background and no one's going to be paying any attention. So I'm going to pick about 30 words of it. Ken is currently a structural engineer at Thornton Tomasetti. He specializes in building performance, which includes restoration, rehabilitation, and renovation work, but also works on new building design. Yada, 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 yada. You know, it doesn't say anything about your bitchin' blogs here, Ken. It does say through the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, Ken encourages students to pursue careers in civil engineering. How's that going? Hey? Boy, I thought it was bad enough getting them to think about design and interior architecture, but boy, that's why I'm not getting paid very much in the training. All right. Here is the world-famous Ken Maschke, and will you please give him a huge Pecha Kucha welcome? And will you stop drawing penises on the steamed-up windows over there? Pecha Kucha night here tonight is sold out. You are steaming up this place.
All right.
And stop drawing willies on the windows out there. All right, Ken, come up and save this crowd from it. Everybody looked around then.
Okay, great. Thanks, Peter. It's true I'm a structural engineer, but recovering. So if you still have drinks left over from the beer hour, this is a good time to get going. So what I want to talk about today is inspiration from the blog I've been writing. Basically, will it stand? The great question that all structural engineers have to deal with. This is kind of reverberating. You might know a few structural engineers. If you don't recognize us, we're the guys that when we walk into a building always look straight up at the ceiling. Is this going to fall down on me? Will it stand? Okay, here's your chance. Here's this picture I took of a ceiling, a nice concrete arch. What do you think? Will it stand?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes? No? Wow, that's a pretty unanimous support. Well, okay, you're right. It will stand. Does everybody know what it is? It's the Pantheon, yeah, the most famous structure. You know, the great thing about this thing is 1,500 years old, lives in an earthquake zone. There's no steel reinforcement in it. There's no way we could build that today. Pretty smart guys. Then for the next 1,000 years, we really struggled to get our structural act back together. And a lot of structures tried and failed and didn't quite make it. You might not know that St. Peter's there on the left, there were supposed to be these towers on the right side, on each side of the facade. They were designed by Bernini, who you know is a great sculptor. Well, as soon as he built the things, huge cracks started forming, and they had to be torn down. Now, there was a rival in town, Borromini, who he helped with on the Bellachina, but he wanted to see Bernini fail because he wanted to establish himself as the greatest architect and maybe one of the first precursors to engineers. We see stuff with X-ray vision, just like this. This is the Art Institute. This is the bridge that goes across the tracks. We like to see through the architecture and what's holding things up. Well, we take that to the next level, right? Then we got to make computer models that make stuff stand. Now, Matt back in the back there. Matt, will this stand? Will this thing stand? This is Fairbanks. This is in Chicago, something we've built.
No.
We built this tower on top of a 9-story parking garage with the Dominics in the basement. This structure is going up in Cincinnati. It'll be the tallest building in Cincinnati. Beyond just doing normal, boring structural calculations and stuff, we had to come up with this elaborate tiara that goes on top. And the question there is, how do we make it stand? How do we erect this thing in the first place? What do these connections look like? We can make it stand. Now, the most important thing for us always is resisting the forces of nature. Now, this is the result of a really nasty windstorm. Could you imagine that guy's office there on the left? Fortunately, this thing happened at night, so no one's injured. But so we're doing a facelift. We are cosmetic surgeons as structural engineers. We're making it stand throughout the worst weather possible. Now, sometimes we get in the business of trying to make programming and, this architectural stuff. Well, our results don't always turn out that good, but here we're trying to make something stand on top of a highway, a 6-lane highway plus a rail station. This was going to be in Denmark that we were working. Now, when the architects get involved, their boxes look a hell of a lot cooler than ours. This is work by Adrian Smith and Gordon Gill, and we've got some representatives from them in the house too. Ben, will this thing stand?
No.
No one thinks maybe if the economy turns around. This was planned for Dubai. It was a real George Jetson excitement, extravaganza, hanging gardens and waterfalls. We had to worry about the helipad. Well, believe it or not, myself and a few structural engineers at Thornton Thomas Eddy thought this might stand, and so we took a stab at it. The next slide is going to show you, okay, this is our structural model. Cool stuff, right? Yeah. We like yellow and black colors in engineering. All of our models have great color schemes to them. But the trick was we were going to hang everything from the top. We were going to run up these red cores and then hang all the floors from above. And we think it would stand. Okay, cue up the next one. If you thought that last one was cool, how about this one? This was, now I'll really put Ben on the spot because he was involved with this thing. Guys, will this thing stand?
Sure.
Yes, maybe. We hope so someday. If you're a multi-billion-dollar developer in town, come see me. We'll hook you up here. So we took our inspiration from the diagrid. You've maybe seen these structures before: the Gherkin, the Seattle Public Library, the other one's in New York. We had the diagrid, this diamond-shaped exterior cladding, a structural skin, and we thought we could apply this to the Wings Museum, as it was called, to make it stand. And this is what our structural stuff looks like. We put it into our programs. We had lots of really complicated computer-generated communication to come up with this. And then we did our best to make our own structural designs. We hollowed out the inside to make it a little lighter, and that tended to work out a lot better for us. But, this isn't just about the designs that fancy architects come up with. Here's a design by a student, Adina Bellaso, who I heard just got a job last week, so congrats to her, and there's hope for you guys out there. I talk about this on my blog, just did some, structural riffing to try and figure out how it would stand. Is the sky the limit? I don't think so. I think space is. I think we can do this, a space elevator. Who needs the shuttle program, right, Obama? We'll build a space elevator out there. Can be done. We just need to invent, a material that's 10 times stronger than what we have. But give us the time and money and we'll do it. Here are some people who presented in Chicago last year who are working on pneumatic structures. And not only is it cool because it's just inflated by air and cheap to put anywhere, but it responds automatically to where the sun is in the sky. Better structures for better living. Beyond it all, it's all about trying to find the iconic structures that will stand the test of time and set the standard, just like the Colosseum has. Even though it's 2,000 years old, it still seems to fit in our modern cities, and it's unbelievable to go see if you're a structural engineer. So I'd ask all of you to keep looking up, or if you haven't, look up for the first time. Ponder what is above you and ask the question. And if you can't answer it, then call me, and I'll try my best. This is a view from 310 South Michigan, and it will be a wonderful space. So my name is Ken, and thank you.
Ken, yes. I'm inspired by your spirited engineering presentation. From a family of engineers, my pops was an engineer, my grandpops was an engineer. I'm inspired Does that mean that engineering still has to, you have to take a lot of math classes, or does the computer do that?